Hello, DGers. What is going on? Naz here. I just wanted to come on before this episode starts and tell you that we recorded this episode early last week before all the allegations against Chris Noth, the actor that plays Mr. Big on Sex and the City and in Just Like That came out, and before the third episode was released. Just wanted to let you know in case you're like, oh, why aren't those things being mentioned in this episode? That is why. But yeah, we were just so excited to share our thoughts with you on the first two episodes because we're huge fans of the show, as we know a lot of you guys are. So enjoy the episode.
I don't get it. Podcast. Okay, hi guys. So welcome to the I Don't Get It Sex and the City episode.
And
I mean, how are we
like
going to do
episode.
this? That's what we mean. The Just Like That episode. So, I mean, I guess if you don't watch Sex and the City, you don't have to click on this podcast.
they already have then if they're listening.
Ashley,
they haven't clicked.
Way to defer people to like not listen to her.
Well, I mean, like, I want them to, but, you know.
I think this will be a compelling conversation whether or not you have watched And Just Like That yet. I do want to make a quick note that this conversation is based off 2 episodes that are out, but another And Just Like That episode is coming out this week. So
that's so true.
So while you are listening to this, please just know that this is all based on the first 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the third one could be a banger. and then this is all lame.
So how do we like go about this conversation? Do we start with like scene number 1?
Yes,
I mean, I think so.
My notes in
I have notes too.
I don't know.
Lauren took notes throughout the entire 2 episodes, and I took notes I went back and rewatched the first one a little bit, and I took notes during that. So I say that that's where we begin.
Okay. I have like so many, but I'll just vomit all my thoughts after you guys finish, I think.
Okay, but like you'll find a place when we go in sequential order.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, Lauren, would you like to begin?
Actually, I feel like you have to start because this is your favorite show, and the one thing that you didn't want to happen happened.
Well, I know, but let's not talk about it until the end.
Okay.
Because then we're gonna get all sloppy. And normally I like to be sloppy, but in this case, there's like too much feeling involved for us to be sloppy. So let me start off by saying, so I was watching this today for the second time, and I already hated the opening scene. I mean, the opening scene in the diner, which wasn't their diner, I didn't like it. When they sat down to talk, it seemed far more natural and old school. But when they first walk in and they're standing around, COVID is one in the first line of the series, which I just didn't need.
I think they just needed to
do like a time and place.
They needed a time and place. Yeah.
Okay. And then like, I don't care that Bitsy Von Muscle or whatever the hell her name is, like, has to appear in the first couple lines.
I know.
What? She was like in 2 episodes. Why do we care about her? And then I know that they used her as a facilitator to get like the Samantha thing in there. Mm-hmm. And then like that's when Charlotte says she's no longer with us, which is the weirdest way to start this conversation out. I don't even think we needed to address Samantha that immediately. It was like, blah, let's just do it.
I think they're just trying to get everything out of the way. This whole episode was just a tee up for the rest of the season. The entire episode was just to get us acclimated and see where everyone's at.
They did it so fast. They don't need, like, there are old episodes where like Samantha wouldn't even come in until like 10 minutes in. That would have felt fine.
I know.
They've gone to lunch, the 3 of them, before.
That's true. I've watched this episode 3 times. Okay.
Wait, what?
I watched it 3 times because
Lauren,
I watched
it
once.
You go, and then I'll go.
Wait, why did you watch it 3 times?
I watched it once alone, and then I watched it this week with clients. I watched them twice yesterday. So I feel like the first time viewing it, I was like, this is trash, crap, shit. I don't care. And then every time I watched it, it got better for some reason. I don't know.
I agree. When I was watching it the second time, it was a little less bad. I won't say it was fine, but less bad. I saw areas in which like they just did too much or it was too fast, because when watching, it's like the Bitsy thing didn't make sense to me, but them sitting at the table was like, okay, this sounds like a regular conversation amongst them, but in a way in which it was like, 11 years later, because that's when Miranda starts talking about Brady's condom on the floor, which totally fine with a conversation about Brady's condom on the floor. What I didn't need to see was Brady actually having sex in this second episode.
Okay, well now we're jumping. Let's go back to the beginning. So when the music like started playing, I felt so excited. I was like, oh man, like even the music and like the font was super like 2000s, and I was so into it. And then I couldn't agree more. And I want to watch it again. I haven't had a chance to watch it again. I think so much happened in the first episode that as a diehard fan, we had to really let marinate and digest that. I'm sure during a second or third viewing, it's a little more digested. You can go to the bathroom now. And so it's not as like shocking. But I couldn't agree more with the first couple minutes of the episode. And to be honest, as someone who like interviews writers and stuff, I wonder like if any beginning would have been good. It's like, how do you even start again? Like I feel like the start is so hard, and I agree. It was shoving so much down the throat about like COVID. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I guess this is setting up where we are. This could have been set up a little more in the episode, but fine. The Betsy thing was so random. And then I actually think they had to say Samantha's no longer with us. I think as a viewer and a lover of Samantha,
did they need to say it like that?
I didn't think it needed to be like that, but I also don't know how. Like, I think Charlotte would have said that. Charlotte would have said it like that. Right. So it's fine with me. She's kind of like that, so that was fine with me. And I actually think they needed to address Samantha off the bat. Let's just unpack Samantha for a second, though, since we're talking about it, because real quick to go back. Once they sat down, I was like, okay, this is like familiar territory. Yeah. This is a little better. Also, Sarah Jessica Parker looks outstanding. Outstanding as Carrie Bradshaw's back. The fashion is incredible. Her hair is unbelievable.
Her skin looks great. Like she just aged and just looks like Carrie she would. That's it.
Yeah. And I actually feel really bad for the actress that plays Charlotte, because so many people have been like coming for her. And I love that Miranda had gray hair, whatever. Appearances aside, what was I going to say? Oh, Samantha's reasoning for not being their friend anymore is so odd to me. Like, I don't think Samantha is someone that would be so offended by not being her publicist. Samantha would have been ahead of the times and would have probably started a podcast with Carrie like way before. So I just didn't like the reasoning why Samantha wasn't friends with them anymore. That just didn't make sense to me.
I mean, I agree. I was going to go off. Or you want to keep talking about Samantha?
No. If you're not going to talk about Samantha.
I'm not talking about Samantha.
Oh, I got to talk about Samantha. They brought too much of the real life drama into the storyline. And I really thought that as like writers and producers, they would like put the storyline and like be true to Samantha's actual character before the drama in real life, because they made it about money, they made it about business, and they said that was the falling out, which is we know.
Oh, interesting.
We know
I didn't put two and two like that together.
Oh yeah. So I wish that they just simply made it seem like she moved away for work. It just like, because we already knew that she moved to LA with Smith Jerrod.
Right.
So it would have been totally acceptable for us to have her just move away for work again.
But she couldn't just move away for work, Ashley, because then she would have had flown in episode 2. Like, there had to have been some type of falling out between her and Carrie. And I guess now thinking it through, I mean, what other reason would there be aside from like Samantha having sex with Big or something?
She would have never been so petty though, to totally cut them off. I had a friend text me that said if they wanted to kill off a character, they could have killed off Samantha, because one, she just wasn't going to come back. Like, she was not down to be in this series, right? And she had breast cancer in the past. We could have made it seem like it came back and she died. All right, it's cold outside, guys. You want to bring some warmth into your bedroom?
Whoa, Ashley. Whoa.
This is
so
good for a
prude
Sex in
after
the
all.
City podcast, right? This is kind of like when Carrie was talking to Big about, touching himself. Well, if whatever you're into, if you're looking to heat things up, there's a story waiting for you, and it's on Dipsy, because Dipsy is an app. It's an app full of sexy audio stories, and they literally, no matter what turns you on or what you're into, Dipsy helps bring these stories to life anytime, anywhere.
I love listening to it right before bed because I love relaxing before bed. And they have brand new written stories all the time, so you'll never get bored. Nothing ever gets stale. And I love using my imagination because honestly, fantasizing is one of my favorite things to do in the world. You just close your eyes, you let yourself get lost in a world where only good things happen and pleasure is your only priority. And you can explore fantasies in a safe, shame-free way on your own. So this is this is a ritual I do before bed, and I highly recommend if you guys have never tried it before. It's a fun way to spice things up, spice your own life up, give time to yourself. And there are hundreds of stories to choose from. Like I said, they release new content every week. There's always more to explore. And by the way, they also have wellness sessions to help you wind down and explore. And they have sleep sessions to help you drift off. So check those out if you're having some trouble getting some sleep.
For listeners of the show, Dipsy is offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/getit. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/getit. dipsystories.com/getit.
Am I the only one that after watching episodes 1 and 2 think that there's maybe a sliver of chance that Kim Cattrall shows up in an episode?
Yeah, you're the only one.
Really? Because Samantha is still so alive in the series.
With Carrie texting her.
Yeah,
at the end.
There's a part of me that's like, I don't know. Maybe there is a number out there that Kim would be okay.
There has to be a number. And what else is Kim Cattrall doing?
That's the argument.
Kim Cattrall's killing it, actually.
I don't know that she's killing it. That show that she had on Fox last year totally bombed.
She's in something new coming up. I just read about, but in general, I think.
I don't think it's a money thing. I don't even think that they would offer her the money because I don't think that Sarah Jessica Parker even wants her that bad, because it all started, or part of their tension started because Kim Cattrall was annoyed that Sarah Jessica Parker got paid so much more than the rest of them.
I gotta say, as much as I love all 4 of these characters so much, her absence is felt massively.
Yes, definitely.
And
do you think they're going to try to introduce Charlotte's friend as the 4th now, the mom at the school?
She doesn't have Samantha vibes.
I know she doesn't, but I feel like they have to fill it with someone, and they're really forcing this woman down our throat. And talking about forcing things down your throat, the most bothersome scene in this entire 2 episodes.
Not really, but maybe to learn.
Personally for me, was when they basically shamed whoever the fuck was eating fries. They were like, that whole fry scene at the first lunch was so bizarre to me. For someone that you've never talked to before comes up, say, who ordered the fries? Who is so bad to order fries? While they're trying to be so inclusive to everyone in this entire first episode, to villainize someone for eating fries or make it seem like it's not the most normal thing to do is bizarre. And secondly, to take someone else's fries that you don't know is so weird.
Yeah, it was just cliche too, because she even says they're so bad they're good. It's like
no shit.
Yeah, it's like,
I guess I thought it was also very odd that she walked up and asked for fries. I thought that was very out of place, but I do think they're trying to give us a sense of what they think 50-year-old women think and talk about. But it doesn't, a lot of it feels, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't know because I'm not that age, but we've all seen Housewives, right? Are they even Carrie pulling out her Instagram? Actually, I like that part, but okay, I don't know.
Sorry,
Go
from Carrie's Instagram, something that I realized was they have completely turned Miranda upside down. Do you remember this is what my one friend said. In the previous seasons, Miranda was technologically advanced. She cared about her her Palm Pilot, her TiVo, her BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden she doesn't know what a podcast is and she doesn't want a Kindle for her books because she's, quote, old school. Like, what happened?
The same
100%.
friend that suggested that Samantha should have been killed off also said that Miranda's always been like the most progressive of the characters, and in this episode they make her seem clueless.
Yeah, let's unpack this for a second, because I like that they showed someone who's not black really trying to do all the right things, but how it just sort of sometimes just isn't. But it was so cringy the way they used Miranda, where I'm like, would Miranda have done this? Like, maybe Charlotte would have. Like, Miranda's always been one who has said something that has put her foot in her mouth. You know what I mean? She's always, but it was never to the extent that I think we saw in the first episode. I'm like, maybe Charlotte, if this was between Charlotte and her friend, her new friend, I don't know what the name of the character is.
That would have made so much more sense.
To me, that would make more sense. But Miranda, I mean, I don't know. I just think it was a lot. And I think, I don't know, even like Steve's hearing, like it was just so much to digest. I wish they would have spread some of this stuff out, because
so much
for me, I was like, we watched this show for dating and for relationship stuff. And I just didn't find a lot of that in episode 1 and 2, but maybe we will.
They're teeing up so much stuff for us. Like, it was jam-packed with teeing up. Steve's hearing is going to be something. Miranda's drinking is going to be something. The woman at the funeral, obviously, we'll get to that. His secretary is going to be something.
What's that about? That's scary me.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I'm wondering if they're going to make Big a villain, so she gets past him quicker.
I'm really scared.
That would be horrible.
I know, but I'm really scared because I think a lot of people, as we've progressed as a society, don't really like Big. And then when that woman said that at the funeral, I was like, oh, I think this is servicing people out there that really weren't Team Big, which is fine. There's people that are on both sides. But yeah, it's like, why else would you bring in a secretary to not otherwise uncover that maybe there were other women in his life, right?
Yeah, and then she goes, oh, when you get a chance, we have a lot of paperwork to go through. So there's going to be paperwork to go through, and there's going to be something in there.
I guess it would make us feel a little bit better if we found out he was. I don't know. No, he wouldn't.
So many seasons of our lives on this man.
I would rather him die, and it'd be sad about that. But let's get back to that. And obviously, towards the end of the episode, I do want to bring up the new black friend, though. I do, totally for them making the cast more diverse. However, like Lauren said, it is feeling like this character is like kind of being like so trying to be pushed to the forefront that we're like, and in a way that we start out with fries, then
the wine at the recital.
The wine at the recital.
It all means something. It all means something.
It's just, and then there's like Charlotte's obsession with her, right? So like Charlotte is like tries to be with her, trying to get in her circle. I'm like, can we just like have her like just feel like them, like a vibe, like that seems like they fit better together?
I think we will. We also have to remember that first of all, I hope it's not coming off like I didn't like it, because I do like it just like that, and I'm gonna watch every second of it. I think just as like a massive fan, right? It's so hard to please like huge fans of something this massive, especially with so many characters that we love gone. I think I'm just mourning, if that makes sense. But I just wanted to say that it takes new series time to really find their voice and footing. And so I can really see us really loving this series, maybe episode 4 or 5. I think they just needed to set up a lot. And obviously these 2 episodes had to set up a lot of things.
But Naz, will we have enough episodes to get in the groove of it? Because how many episodes are there? 8?
That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer.
Because
to that.
now if we're already 2 in, then we have 6 more. Are we really going to feel that?
Yeah, no. You can do that in 8 episodes. I mean, there's limited series for 6 episodes that we like love and stuff.
Yeah.
You can do that in 8 episodes for sure. The holidays are coming up, and a lot of us are going to be in airports or Ubers or cabs, and we're going to need some time to just literally kill time. And
you're going to need something to kill the time.
Actually. And you're going to need something to kill the time. And I like to kill time with match 3 games because it stimulates my brain. And let's be honest, every time you refresh your TikTok timeline or Instagram timeline, sometimes it just makes your brain go numb. And sometimes it doesn't even make you feel good. Sometimes the stuff we see is just like, ugh, or why did I see that? Or why did I look at that? Or that didn't make me feel good. And so a great way to ensure that you are killing time in an efficient way that's good for you and your brain is by playing match 3 games. And so lately I've been playing this game called Switchcraft. It is free to download, and it's a really awesome storytelling adventure. The animation is outstanding. I love the story that you follow in it. And
you start off as a witch.
Exactly.
It's so cool. You start off as a witch at the world's top academy of witchcraft. That'll bring anyone to an app. And then it all starts off with the disappearance of your best friend. And you kind of go through these like twists and turns. And it's a big mystery story, but it's also a game. So, and there's romance, guys. So there's a little bit of romance.
Well, you guys know that I don't play games or watch movies or anything if there isn't a little romance. That's pretty good. You can download Switchcraft for free and unlock the magical mystery today.
I don't what to dissect next. I mean,
we can.
I just wanted to say, like, I'm really happy. I also wanted to like echo. I'm really happy that there's more diverse characters and that they are doing better because obviously the show we saw back in the day, like there was some stuff wrong with it. But I also feel
how unlikable was Sarah Ramirez's character. That made me so angry because I don't want Carrie to be at a job that she doesn't feel comfortable with. And I think that with Sex and the City, what we love so much is that they talk like us, right? Mm-hmm. They talk about sex and things of that nature in a way that is like relatable, funny, open, honest, but not like super graphic. And I think that a lot of us are like, yeah, we don't want to talk about it in super graphic form. So I don't want her pressuring Carrie, who represents more of me, to like be pushing her out of her comfort zone. Sure, you could be pushed out of your comfort zone, but in that realm of life, if you don't want to be and you want to keep things private, that should be totally respected as well.
I think I don't disagree with you. I loved this scene though. I hated it at first and now I love it because I think they're trying to set up who Carrie is in the world we live in now. And think about it. Like the 3 of us have a podcast where I literally have shared the most graphic stuff on. And so this is the world we're living in. So I think it actually was really interesting to see Carrie like have this column called Sex in the City, which I just want to reiterate was actually more about relationships. Mm-hmm. And when we look back and we think about people having sex on the show, we never saw Sarah Jessica Parker's boobs. We never really saw her making love. It was always like Samantha having sex, Miranda having sex, even Charlotte. Like we never. So I think that was interesting. Yeah, like if you really think about it, and she was the one with the column, and so I don't know. I think there's a lot to think about and unpack there. That like Carrie's never been this like person, and I think it's interesting to see Carrie now at 50 navigate this world we all live in where people are talking about masturbating and all this stuff. It's like, where does she fit in all that as someone who used to write this iconic column?
The podcast was very interesting for me. As I said, I've watched it 3 times now. And the first time I was like, this is the cringiest, most shoving down our throat, like over direction of our society that they're trying to like wrap up into a podcast. And then the third time I watched it, I was like, I think they tried to make her look bad for being boring and not discussing certain things. Like she goes, "Oh, you're going to be the boring old straight lady," and I'm like, "But you're making it seem like it's normal to masturbate in public," Yeah. I'm like, so being an old straight married lady is crazy, but masturbating in public is the more normal thing.
Like, what if that's just me? It's like, that should be fine. Like,
it is fine, Ash. It's just one character's perspective. I think they're just showing, both. Carrie's representing that it is fine. You know what I mean?
I'm looking forward to seeing what they make Carrie do in the next couple episodes, because she's obviously going in some direction, maybe changing the podcast to be more like old school Sex and the City, or she's going to change with the podcast.
Well, I think she was showing how influenced she was by those comments by asking Big when the last time he masturbated was. And is like, is that something that you ever do with Hunter?
Yeah, of course.
You would ask him that?
Yeah. And I think this is now the new column,
I want
right?
you to do that. That's Lauren's new homework this
I
week.
literally asked him like 2 weeks ago, and then he answered.
I thought that was kind of hot, that scene. I was like, whoa, we've never seen.
Oh my God,
like,
I
Carrie
really
and Big
enjoyed
in
it,
this
but I
way.
thought they were going to go through with it, like where he was
Same.
actually going to do it. Yeah,
Same.
I thought that was great. That was classic Big and Carrie.
Exactly. And I think what's going to happen is we need this podcast and we need those characters to be the way they are, because they're going to push Carrie to start experimenting, right? And like see where she fits in all this. And it's going to come back to, I couldn't help but wonder, you know, like, should I masturbate in public or not? And it's like, it's good to explore those themes and ideas with someone like Carrie. And it's not like the answer is going to be yes or no, but I think the podcast is going to force her to like kind of step outside her comfort zone. But I will say, based off what Lauren just said, I agree. It was a part of me was just like, I just want the show to be better, you know, like more diverse characters, more like sexually positive, all the stuff that we wanted. But I don't need it to be so obvious and like said out loud. It's like, just fix it. You don't have to. You don't have to say all of it out loud.
There was times where everything just felt so purposefully scripted in a way that felt scripted. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it was like, we have to add that bullet point in, and then that bullet point, and it has to be this visual, and it's just, everything was just so obvious.
And it's let me just retract real quick.
And maybe I'm just a total prude and I need to shut up.
No, I think it's okay for it to be obvious, but I think we're already mourning Samantha's loss, and we already have to get used to that. And then to get used to all of this stuff too, and then to like kill one of the largest characters. It was all so much in an hour. I was like, whoa, like
so much.
They're really hitting the ground running. So I'm actually really stoked to see what's coming down the line, because that was a lot to unpack.
Okay, so so we're going to get into the death now, because we have the second episode to go over too. Obviously, the elephant in the room is she could have called 911.
Well, I mean, let's like not get there.
But I kind of want to get there before.
Well, Big dies. For anyone who's never seen the show, Big dies
What
at
about
the
the
end
recital?
of episode 1.
When you watch it again, it's just like, so I don't, okay, this is a question. When watching, they lied to us last week, okay, right? So before the week of the premiere, Michael Patrick King, the creator, said to the New York Times that nobody dies in the new series.
Well, he's genius. That's what any producer on Bachelor would have done, you know?
No, they've never blatantly lied like that. I've never seen any like sort of series premiere and there's like a blatant lie that was told to the press that week to throw people off.
Also, we've seen her, right, and we've seen her and Chris shoot in Paris and other stuff. So a part of me is like, were those decoys or are those going to be flashbacks?
There are lots of little scenes that we had behind the scenes pictures of,
right?
That
it was all meant to throw us off. I think they were just genius and did this whole thing so that everyone was shocked at the end of episode 1, and it worked.
And it did work because it threw us all off, because we definitely thought that he, after those comments and after the scenes, being out there, I watched that first episode knowing that when they had the conversations about, Peloton date on Friday night or Thursday night or whatever night it was, or do you want to come with me to the recital and all that stuff, you knew it was going to lead to something happening with Big, but you definitely didn't think it was going to be his death.
Right, because we were told that he's not going to die.
Yes.
Right. Well, I first want to hear Ashley's reaction to like when Carrie says, and just like that, Big died.
He's dead, because he could have lived.
What was your reaction, Ashley? Because that was literally the one thing you didn't want.
The one thing that I've been so annoyed about this whole series happening, because I knew that they wanted to do this to us. I was, again, watching the death scene, thinking like, oh, okay, so in the next episode, he'll be in the hospital. Something like that.
Yeah.
When she said, and just like that, Big died,
Lord.
I got up and I like shook like a dog. I was like relaxed, and then I was like I mean, just like total body spasm.
Funny. Wow.
Like, what the like? What was your reactions?
So
I knew already.
So you miraculously, this was not spoiled for me. The show came out Thursday night. I was flying to New York 7 a.m. Friday. So I downloaded both of the episodes, and my plan was, which I executed, the last 2 hours of my flight, I'm going to watch it just like that. And then I'm going to be so excited to be in New York City after seeing like my Sex and the City characters back together. And let me tell you guys, I fucking landed and it was like so depressing. I was so sad. I was so sad. I was like, no. It was a lot.
I mean, I found out because you posted your Insta story of like just pure shock.
Well, yeah, but I did a better job than most media outlets. I actually am shocked at how many media outlets were so blatantly obvious on Instagram and on their social medias about what happened, and within 24 hours of it happening. Because usually they'll be like, spoiler alert, blah, blah, blah. But no.
Yeah. I mean, this is massive. This was like the Peloton heart attack heard around the world. Like there was a commercial the next day with him and Ryan Reynolds within 48 hours shot.
It's the new, why didn't the whole calling 911 thing?
Oh, Crock-Pot with This
and
Is
how
Us.
She did
yeah.
It. First off, it's definitely the new Crock-Pot because everybody blamed Crock-Pot for
Right.
Jack Pearson's death.
Right.
But the fact that Carrie didn't call 911 is the new why didn't Rose let Jack on the door?
100%. And when Jonah Hill posted that, did you guys see Jonah Hill posted? But why didn't Carrie call 911? I died.
They could have just made it. I don't know. They wanted him to look at her before he died. I understand that. But then he should have looked at her and then dead rather than like holding him in her arms and while he was like blinking, obviously needed help. They could have just cut it shorter.
He was alive, obviously, for at least a half an hour. Yeah. If it really happened in the order that they were showing it, while Lily was at the piano. Okay. The guy survived at least a half an hour in there. He could have survived more. You're telling me that he had to get one last look at like Carrie before he let himself go?
All I know is that Charlotte, like feeling guilty about going to a friend's thing was like really great storytelling, because that is something
I would selfishly be mad at her.
It's the same. I want to hear all your thoughts, Lauren, but it was so reminiscent of when Miranda spoke to Big at the bridal shower. Was it the bridal shower or rehearsal dinner? I think. Rehearsal dinner. And it was a really interesting story to tell because it's not Charlotte's fault, but you do feel like it's Charlotte's fault, like as Carrie.
Could it have been avoided? I just got to talk about the acting in that scene. Him looking at Carrie with that eye contact is what is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. And I haven't seen this for the second time, but I can still see it so visually. It was one of those rare times, like in film, TV, whatever, where it's like you feel like that is your husband sitting there and like you can feel him looking at you like that. Yeah. It happened like, okay, Lauren, one with Nashville. Remember with Nashville when Connie Britton died? And you and Lauren didn't even watch Nashville. It was like 7 years ago.
I know, I've never seen it.
Lauren had she never watched the show consistently. She like watched it if I had it on in the background. And Lauren and I like scream cried because it was like watching our own mom die. Wow. And then the other time that I really felt like I loved, like something made me love Jared more was A Star Is Born. Like it just made me like appreciate that human being in your life more. And then this is like the third time where watching it, I was like, that is my husband dying in front of me.
Aww.
And it was so scary.
Very sad.
What are your thoughts on them killing off Big in general? Because I think a lot of people feel like I would have loved to have seen a marriage storyline play out. A lot of people struggle in their marriages. He could have been kept alive. And a part of me is like, I guess they had to really justify bringing this iconic show back. And someone had to be single, and Samantha's not here. And so, and people deal with grief. And people deal with grief, and dating in your 50s is a thing. And I don't think we see enough of that on television. So a part of me was like, I do think the ends justify the means, but I do also feel like we could have just seen their marriage play out and the issues
on all fronts.
But it's also like, it is a more, if you like, you can't lie about it as much as I hate to admit it. It is a more interesting show now. It just is.
I agree with you. I think that we need someone dating, but I think maybe that, I don't know. This is kind of like the Carrie Diaries, you know, that stupid show that I never ever watched.
Oh,
so I
the
can't
younger,
even say it's
like
stupid.
a prequel.
Yeah, like they could have had the kids dating, like Brady and then Charlotte's kids, and then had them discuss their kids dating.
No, but that's not as interesting as Carrie dating, you know.
That's the direction I thought they were going into. Okay, obviously we all know where I stand. I want Big to live. I would have done anything for Big to live. I understand the argument of it being interesting with Carrie dating. I can't deny that. But I do think that most of the audience is probably married and in committed relationships. You know, the audience that has followed them through that chunk of the main years. You know, like millennials and the generation above us, right? I don't even know what you guys are called in your 40s, but we could have
boomers.
No.
X?
Gen X, is that them?
I don't know. I just call them elder millennials.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. Those two generations, they would have been totally cool seeing just like Carrie and Big navigate marriage issues, and then the other guys navigate kid issues. We had a lot to work with there. I know they didn't go in that direction.
Okay, well, now that he is dead and we can't do anything about it, do you think that the next episode, the third, is going to be a flash forward to like 3 or 4 years from now?
No.
Or it's all going to be grieving? Because you can't get any dating in while you're mourning the greatest love of your life.
I kind of agree with Lauren, because we've grieved the loss of Big already as like fans. Like, I think, and I saw a clip online where she's with someone talking about dating apps. I don't know if that's episode 3 or the episode that comes out this week, or if that's an episode we're going to see further down the line. But
do you mean that we've grieved with the big thing, like in the movie? Because in the movie, we grieved the loss of that relationship.
Right. And so to grieve it all over again feels like a waste of time. And
You're right. And
I think I'm kind of excited. I am excited to see Carrie get on the apps. Like, this is actually really interesting.
The second episode really brought it together for me. I was really pissed about the first one.
I can't hear you at all.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. I was really pissed with the first one. The second one gave me all the feels, because obviously when Samantha sent her flowers on the casket, we all cried, because that was the nicest thing ever. And it was all about the friendships again. Like Miranda being so concerned about Carrie, and it made it feel like the old episodes, because it was all about their friendship.
You brought up a good point. That is what this show's about. Yeah. It's like, maybe guys are just people that we have fun with, and our friends are our soulmates. So at the core of it is a show about friendship.
I think that's what it is more so, because when they're laughing together or like grieving together, I'm like, this is nice. I'm getting emotional from this.
Mm-hmm. I also did love, real quick, this is a caveat, but like, not a caveat, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. This is out of left field, but I wanted to just know, I love that Miranda has gray hair and that she's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I think that is very Miranda.
She looks better with gray hair than red hair, to me personally.
I loved it.
I want to go back to the Samantha note just for a second, because that was the moment that I started crying. Like, at first, after the death, I was like kind of pissed and shocked, and then like it got emotional when I saw the flowers were from Samantha. What about you, Naz? When did you start crying? Did you cry on the plane?
No, but I cried like after, like when episode 2 was over, because I was like, oh, those were 2 big downer episodes. My expectation was like high up, high energy, like Sex in the City. I'm landing in New York. So it really threw me for a loop. I felt like I was blindsided.
Two things about Steve. Love Steve. Two, I don't know why he's deaf, but I'm sure it'll make some kind of sense to make him deaf. Three, he sounds and looks just like Steve-O from like
From
Jackass. He's like kind of has a raspy voice, and he looks like Steve-O.
That's
right.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. And then another scene that I liked in the second episode was when Steve and Miranda were in the closet and they were like not okay, and they were like, Brady, come give us a hug, and Brady was like, I'm all right, and then he was like, well, we're not. I bawled because I was like, you don't think about your parents needing you. You just think of needing your parents, and I'm like, yeah, they just needed a hug from him, and that little shit gave it to him, but. That was really cute.
It was
they
so
made
good.
Brady really unlikable in my point of view.
And their family dynamic is such a good one. I think their family dynamic is one of the best parts of the show, because when you grow up with really strict parents, especially in this day and age, like where we're far more progressive than we were when I grew up, like that probably would have been. I just relate to it so much because I, grew up in a household where my parents are like, you can't sleep over.
Miranda and Steve are not strict parents.
Yeah, I don't think that they're strict parents.
Well, no, they are, because she like freaked out about him,
Yeah, but after literally hearing them have sex in their
I'm talking
house.
about the smoking at the
it's just the
funeral.
smoking.
Like that's like a non-strict parent would not care. Like I grew up around a lot of other parents.
She's
who'd
a
be
nice
like,
happy medium. She's very nice to have the girlfriend stay over and fuck in her house.
No, yeah, you're right. But I guess all I'm saying is like she is definitely helicopter mom. And I like seeing
Charlotte
that dynamic.
Is probably the strict helicopter mom, obviously, based on what we saw.
Yeah, but in a way where, yeah, in different ways.
I didn't like the way that that they were so nonchalant with Brady's character. I mean, I think it's very strange for a kid to be like, oh yeah, it's okay for me to literally bang my headboard against my parents' wall. I mean, like, you're doing something weird if like your kid thinks that's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, again, I may be the prude here. And I have to like the Samantha.
I think it's funny.
The Charlotte, sorry.
I think it's funny because I think we do live in such a sex positive world, right? So it's fun to see someone like Miranda, go toe to toe with her son, who's like, "Mom, don't sex shame me." You know what I mean? Like, I think it's interesting.
Like, I feel like you can say that to anyone but your mom. Like, you should feel so weird if your mom can hear you.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I also love who they casted as Brady. I think he looks like the child.
I mean,
of
that's
both of
exactly
them.
what he should look like.
Yeah.
Okay. What else in episode 2 is there?
The funeral. Okay, let's dissect.
Okay, we can do the funeral, but overall, general question: our mom is so angered by the fact that Carrie showed so little emotion.
Oh, that's nothing.
I think that's normal.
Do you think that's a thing? Do you think that's she's going to eventually have a breakdown? My point of view was kind of like, this is how we saw Carrie deal with the wedding being canceled in the movie. She was just like kind of straight faced. She didn't show like a lot of tears for that. So I didn't think it came out of left field, but I don't know if we're going to see something in the future where like she does like just.
I think this is normal. I think people, when something like this happens, a lot of people are in shock and they're in denial. And I don't think Carrie's like fully processed yet. I think she's just trying to remember when she says, "Thank God that's behind me," like,
what did she say that to?
She just, when they walk out of the elevator and they're talking about the funeral, which just reminded me of when, she didn't invite Charlotte over. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! And I just realized we're gonna lose Willie. We're gonna lose Willie in this series too. I think.
I know.
Right?
Didn't they film everything
during shooting? Did they film everything?
I think they filmed everything.
Okay, got it.
I'm pretty sure it was a couple weeks after they stopped rapping.
A lot of loss in this franchise.
Another big line that we didn't talk about is Carrie goes, "What am I gonna do now?" After Big dies, like we see his gurney in the background. She goes, "What am I going to do right now?" Mm-hmm. My mom thought that was a really weird line. And I was like, I think it is maybe a weird thing to say, but in my head, I think she means, what's the point of living without him? What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a thought a lot of people have.
Yeah, I feel like
think
how
it's
could
normal.
what do I do? Like, how do I go through
Yeah, like
every
what is my
day?
life now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what else could it mean? Just like a selfish, like what am I going to... No. I think it was a bizarre line, but I understand what she was trying to say.
Exactly. Okay, that's same here then.
There's a lot of setup in episode 2 before we wrap up this recap conversation. There's a lot of setup in episode 2 that we just don't have answers to yet. Like that one woman who tries to rekindle their friendship, who just shows up to the funeral. That was very odd.
Remember her.
Yeah. Or no, she just doesn't remember. She remembers her, but she doesn't remember what happened between them.
Yeah.
Which was odd. I was like, why is she there? And then there were people that weren't. I remember thinking, why isn't Jennifer Hudson at the funeral?
Was she there?
No, I just
why wasn't she there?
Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just trying to think of everyone in Carrie's life that should be at this funeral.
They probably didn't want to pay Jennifer Hudson for coming on for such a small little thing.
It just would have brought the world together a little more succinctly for me, I think. But what else was I going to say? I forget.
Let me check my notes to see if there's anything else.
The secretary, which we've already discussed, which is I'm very, very confused. But I also love that we got to see Big's brother, and I learned. Yeah. And did we always know that his name was John Preston?
Yes.
Okay.
We've known that his name is John since the last episode of the thing, but we knew it was John Preston since the movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. Movie. I forgot. I had forgot his last name.
I don't know why I'm so looking forward to Miranda's alcoholic story. Like, I think
is she? You think that's really going to be a storyline? Her struggling with alcohol.
If you go back and watch, she's had like 5 different instances of alcohol.
5. I just saw 2.
What?
There was the one where she had to go to the bar before class, and there was the one where she had to go to the bar before she gave the speech.
And then when she was asking Carrie where she kept her coffee, she kind of alluded to making another drink. And then she...
I didn't pick up on any of this. I'm so...
When Charlotte popped over unannounced at the end, Carrie asked if she made the drinks too strong, and then Miranda was like, a drink could never be too strong.
Lauren's so perceptive.
And there was one other time that I can't remember, but a lot. And I just think that a lot of people at this time probably has gone through something like that.
Maybe it happened during COVID
COVID, yeah. So
yeah, wow. I didn't pick up on that. Interesting. I'm really interested to see Charlotte's relationship with Rose play out, her other daughter, because I also forgot that she had another daughter. I don't know why. I was like, oh yeah, she had a baby. Yeah. So yeah, I like her. I like her character, the girl.
Well,
see, I prefer Lily. LOL.
Yeah, see, but the other girl's more like Lauren and I, where it's like, I want to wear what I want. I don't want to wear this flower dress. Yeah, I just don't. That's not me.
That. Yeah, I was like, aw. Lily accepted the dress and she just liked it.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Just exactly what I would do.
So annoying. Anyways.
Okay, wait. I feel like there was one more thing at the funeral that needed to be brought up. Oh, yeah. So Carrie wrote the eulogy that Miranda gave, which interesting.
Is it? Just like Carrie. And
it did sound like Carrie.
I was like, this sounds like Carrie because she started.
It sounded weird coming out of Miranda's mouth. Now, if it come out of Carrie's mouth, I would have been like, oh, this makes so much sense, and I feel it. Right. But I didn't feel it coming out of Miranda's mouth.
No, of course. But I think that's how funerals go, right? Like that person typically doesn't speak.
Yeah. No, I don't think they typically do.
Yeah.
Because she starts off, she goes, how lucky. Yeah. How lucky. Yeah. Like twice, and she like almost like gripped her chest like Carrie totally would.
Yeah. What did you guys think about that scene where she doesn't invite Charlotte over her house? And she wants...
I would have been
Is
so
it
sad
Stan?
if I was
Why
Charlotte.
do I always forget? It's Stan, right?
Yeah, it's Stan.
Stanny, yeah. I'm so out of it today. Why, like, what are your thoughts on that whole scene? If I was Carrie, I also probably could not be around. Like, to have to help my friend grieve when it happened to me would probably be really hard. But I also understand why Charlotte's, like, really upset.
We have different friends for different moments of time. And different friends fill different roles, and some are better in some instances than others. And I actually think we all think that's totally fine. It's when the one friend realizes that they're not that friend that you call for in that moment that is hurtful. Yeah. But I think that deep down we kind of like understand.
Yeah. Oh, I felt bad for Charlotte.
I know. Oh, Charlotte.
Rough. Wow.
Well, we know Miranda's her ride or die as she introduced her.
Yeah. What are we hoping before we log off? What are we hoping happens? I think I'm really hoping Samantha shows up. Like, that would just be everything to me if that happened.
I hope that Samantha shows up, which I don't think she will. I hope that actually, I think that we okay, actually, I'm going to scratch that. I'm not even going to say it. I think that if Carrie does start dating, I hope she dates a widower as well, because that would just kind of feel nice to me. And I also hope they start 4 to 5 years down the road in the next episode when she does start dating, because obviously she can't get right back on the horse anytime soon.
Okay, I'm going to agree with that. In my ideal world, Big would come back. we would, in my dream world, Carrie is like in a big dream, and in the last episode or something, she wakes up next to him.
How amazing would that be?
Oh my God. That
and like in the dream, she has to, it's like all about like how she would have to have dated if she was single in 2021.
Wow. That would be everything. Well, that would be amazing, because I think they just agreed to do this season, right? There's been no talk of a second season of this series. Yeah. So, yeah. Good. What do you guys think about Big potentially not being the best partner to her, and like us finding that out? Do you think that's going to happen?
No, I think she can find somebody else great. Like, I think you can have two soulmates. I think like we've had podcasts where, you know, people have been like, you know, widowed and
right.
They like believe that you can have like two great loves, but I don't want it to ever feel like it's better than. I
don't think they would make it feel that way. I think it's just always different, right? When you find someone else.
Yeah, I like Lauren's widower idea. That's kind of nice. I also want to go back just to the death scene real quick and the frustrations, the 911 call and all that. Is that something you guys? I don't know that I could have ever get over that like that, because.
Wait, her not calling 911?
No, not the 911 call. Just like the events leading up. Like, could you imagine? You're like, would have my husband have died if we went to the Hamptons that day?
No, I did.
Like, if we left, if I stayed home, if anything, like
it haunts you forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Like I
but it wasn't. Go ahead.
Sorry. After watching that episode and all the what ifs, I like felt bad making Ashley go to the store today, because I'm like, what if I just put her in danger's way by asking her to do one thing?
I know, but this is how life
couldn't
works.
help but wonder.
I know.
Help but wonder.
But you can, and really, like, when you think about what ifs in life, nothing could have happened any other way because it didn't happen any other way, and that's really just how life works, unfortunately. But it's wild. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, please let us know what you thought about the first 2 episodes of And Just Like That on HBO Max. And yeah, we want to hear all your thoughts in the Facebook group. I Don't Get It podcast.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye.
That was such a funny bye. Bye.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies, and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy podcast on your podcast app.
I don't get it.
Podcast.